So continuing our theme of playfulness, what we're going to do now is talk a little bit about tickling, about laughter, rats playing games, although I think I'm going to do that in class on Thursday. But this is also one of my opportunities to bring a little liberal arts into a course like this. So here's a painting, and I'm fairly certain I saw this at some museum I went to called Tickling the Baby, but we're not going to probably do that. We're going to be talking about tickling the rats. And the people who did most of this work are a couple folks I'm familiar with. Here we go. Jeffrey Burgdorf, who is out at Northwestern University now. Jeff did his graduate work like I did with Burgdorf Panksepp, and did a lot of the early work looking at ultrasonic vocalizations, tickling, and so on. So what we're going to start off in this section is, what is tickling and how do you tickle a rat, and is this really leading to laughter? Okay. First of all, background. We talked, I believe, a little bit about ultrasonic vocalizations earlier, but rats, exhibit three types of ultrasonic vocalizations, or I will be labeling these later on as USVs. There was 40 kilohertz distress calls. These are by neonatal pups, and I think I might have misspoke on this one earlier. So neonatal pups, newborn rats, will vocalize when they're distressed, when the mother goes away, or when they feel like they're in need of protection. They will vocalize at 40 kilohertz. Adults, their distress vocalizations drop down a little bit to about 20 kilohertz. And the 50 kilohertz, which is what we're going to focus on now, are generally emitted in rats during sexual behavior, inter-male aggression if you are the aggressor. In other words, if you are the animal who is going to come out ahead. So if you are in your territory and another rat comes in and invades your territory, you're going to vocalize at this 50 kilohertz range. And then finally, rough and tumble play. So Burgdorf and Panksepp hypothesized then that this 50 kilohertz USVs, which they refer to as chirps, reflect a positive affective state, hedonics, a hedonic state. Sounding familiar? Okay. So the aims of this study are to, first of all, work out what type of touch is most effective. Now, this may seem kind of odd, but you got to determine where are you most likely to tickle a rat, and they're not choosing random body parts. They're choosing it based upon knowing how rats play with each other, knowing which body parts the rats interact with, and which are most likely to lead to these ultrasonic vocalizations. They're going to look at role of social housing. So if they're isolated, they ought to be able to see higher levels of vocalizations than if they're not. And then finally, is it rewarding? Do they find this to be a positive experience? All right, so we have some general methods I want to go over. This is what, if you watch that video that was intertwined in between the ones for Tuesday, this is the bat detector. And it's called a bat detector because they are traditionally marketed to biologists who study bats. So if you have one of these, bats emit vocalizations at these high frequencies. They use it as sonar. So they send out pulses of vocalizations, and then when they hit a bunch of mosquitoes or a small animal that they want to eat, it bounces back, and it tells them where these flying nuisances are ahead of them. So most people, before anybody ever had the crazy idea of tickling a rat or listening to rats vocalize while they're playing, they were mostly used by biologists looking at bats. So that's why they're now called bat detectors. So But you can adjust these, and you can set these so that they will only detect vocalizations within a certain frequency. So in this experiment, we're going to talk about, they're going to be looking at adolescent rats, juveniles, in that 30 to 44-day-old range. This is the age when rats would be most likely to play. They're going to record the vocalizations using this bat detector over here, and it's going to be tuned to 50 kilohertz. And they're going to define tickling. So this is another thing. If you're going to study the science of tickling, it just sounds funny, doesn't it? If you're going to study the science of tickling and the science of laughter, you have to be able to clearly define what you mean by tickling. So that is why I put this one in quotes. It is the vigorous, whole-body, playful stimulation that included repeated pinning of the animal. So this was, I believe, what Panksepp was showing in the video, where he would tickle the back of the neck, flip them over on their back, tickle their belly, let them go back, and just do it repeatedly over and over again, trying to mimic what you would normally see during a bout of play. Okay, so I think I'm going to stop this video for now, rather than interrupt in the middle of the results, and then we'll come back in the next video and go over the particular experiments they did and what it means.